Okay, once again, good morning, guys. So today we've actually come to the last segment of your second module. Okay, so we'll just have a quick recap. So in the previous class, we saw what is virtual memory and what is physical memory. So to go over it again, so virtual memory is making the CPU think that you have more memory than you actually have. So what you actually have is the RAM, which is the physical memory, but the reason why we call this virtual is because you are making the CPU think that the entire secondary storage what you have, like several terabytes or whatever, right? So you're making the CPU think that the physical memory is as big as your secondary storage. So that's the idea. And then we saw what are pages and page frames. So an example I gave is that of your textbook. So if you take your textbooks have pages. So likewise, you divide the entire virtual memory into pages, which are of equal size. Okay, and then page frames are nothing but they are the equivalent of pages, but in physical memory. So pages, when you say pages, it's going to refer to virtual memory, and page frames is the same size as that of your page, but it will be in your physical memory. Okay, so you can actually uh, copy the contents of your pages to your page frames directly. Okay, so it will just exactly fit your page. Then we have pages and segments. Okay, so again the example given was again your textbook. So if you take pages, it's nothing but pages of your textbook. Each page is of same size, but then you also have segments is something like having chapters, right? So chapter 1 will have 20 pages, chapter 2 will have like 50 pages and things like that. Okay, so similarly your virtual memory is also divided into segments based on your program structure. Okay, ultimately whatever is going to run on your CPU is nothing but a program. Okay, so it's just different programs, and each program will have a structure. Okay, a standard structure. You have a code, and you have some data that is global, that some are local. So based on that, you have code segment, data segment, stack segment, and things like that. Okay, so you divide the entire virtual memory into these logical segments, and they are not of same size. They may not be of same size. Okay, they are of different size. So the analogy is again your textbook. Okay, the pages are the pages, and the different chapters are your different segments. Finally, we saw about TLB. So TLB is the translation look aside buffer. It's a cache memory. It's a cache for your page table. Okay, and what is page table? Page table is the lookup table that actually gives you the mapping between your pages and page frames. Okay, you're going to say, hey, this particular page is residing in this particular uh, page frame. Okay, so that mapping is done by your page table, and a cache for that page table is your TLB. Okay, any questions on this so far? Okay, so time for some review. Okay, Sweden, can you just point to somebody? Hey, Sweden, we're not able to hear you. You can type. I think there's some problem with your mic or something. Yeah, Sweetal, can you point to someone? Can you just type someone's name? Shiva Prasad. Shiva Prasad, can you please unmute? You're here. Can you unmute? Mic isn't working. How come like none of your mics are working? Hmm. Okay, so can you please type what you understand by the term virtual memory? 'Hey Shiva Prasad, you're typing? Compensation for shortage of physical memory. Okay, so yeah, I'll just ask you one other simple question. Okay, so what is the size of any virtual memory? How big can your virtual memory be? Or in other words, uh, what does your CPU think? How big is your virtual memory? 3 times of RAM. Wow, why is that? Who told you that number? Google, huh? Did, did you just Google that? Okay, so it's not 3 times of RAM. So your virtual memory is as big as your secondary storage. Okay, guys. Okay. Uh, so virtual memory, again, as I said, it's just making your CPU think you have as big as your secondary storage. Okay, so you have your primary memory as big as your secondary storage. Okay, so if you have like a 500 GB hard disk or a drive, your virtual memory will be 500 GB. If you have 1 TB of uh, SSD, and you will actually make your CPU think you have 1 TB of physical memory, so making fooling the CPU. Okay, and it will be as big as your secondary storage. All right, so we just have one more question. Okay, Shiv Prasad, can you just point to one of your friends? Rahul Sahu, can you please unmute? Yeah, I know that. Okay, so can you just uh, tell me like one difference between page versus segment? You can type your answer. All right, good, nice. So pages are fixed size blocks, whereas segments are of varying sizes. That's right. Okay. Thank you, guys. So we'll move on. But before that, I just want to let you guys know that you better get your mics fixed. Okay. We don't want this mic excuses anymore. I think it's we're halfway into the semester and you guys are still giving the excuse my mic is not working. That's just crazy. Okay, you better get all your mics fixed, or you can use the default mic in your cell phone or your laptop, right? Why wouldn't that work? After all, you can talk over phone, isn't it? Huh? You can use the default mic in the phone. Why wouldn't that work? Okay, so don't give me all these excuses next time. I want all your mics to be fixed. All right, am I clear? All right, let's move on. Okay, so there we have all these pages and segments and everything. So now we will look at some memory replacement policies. So first of all, why do we need replacement? As we saw, uh, like your primary memory is of fixed size. Okay, it's a smaller memory. So let us say you have uh, a smaller primary memory, and then you're just dividing the primary memory into different page frames. Okay, so this is a page frame. So this is page frame 1, page frame 2, and so on. Okay, so this is your primary memory. Okay, but your virtual memory is bigger, correct? So you have a larger virtual memory, and here you divide the memory into equal size or fixed size pages. Okay, so this is pages, this is page 1, page 2, and so on. Okay, now your CPU is sitting somewhere here, and then this, as we saw in the earlier class, right? So CPU has the view of only primary memory and nothing else. So you will just fool the CPU saying, okay, you will give the CPU the logical address or the virtual address. All the programs will have only virtual addresses. Okay, and the CPU will think that, oh, okay, I have a huge memory with me. But with that assumption, CPU is going to ask you something like this, right? Like, give me the 600 gigabyte of memory. Okay, so I need the data that is in the 600 gigabyte. Let's say we have like 1 terabyte of virtual memory. So it's going to reside somewhere here, but your primary memory is of only say 4 GB or something, right? So you're going crazy now. So what your operating system will do is that it's going to have this page table. So like we saw earlier, right? So the page table is going to map. It's going to bring in one page from virtual memory into your physical memory. Okay. So for in this particular instance, you're just going to bring this page into this frame. Okay, and that mapping will go into your page table. Okay, now what will happen is eventually you will just bring all the pages into different frames, and you will saturate your primary memory. Your primary memory will now have all the pages that it can fit in. Now your CPU again wants another page. So if the CPU keeps requesting the same pages that are in primary memory, then there is no issue. Okay, you can just pretend as if everything is there in primary memory, and then you just get along in life. But your CPU, if it requests some page that is now not in your primary memory, then what you should do? Now you should choose, right? You should choose like some one of these page frames. You're just going to say, hey, okay, I don't need you. Okay, based on something. For some reason the OS doesn't like this particular page frame, right? It says, oh, I don't like you, so now you better go back to your virtual space, and then I'm going to bring in some other page into here. So this is called as replacement. Okay, this is called as page replacement. When does it happen? It happens when your primary memory has all the frames filled, and you don't have any more pages that can fit in to your primary memory. Then you will have to evict one page. Okay, you will evict one page based on some condition. Okay, it's not like as simple as, okay, I don't like you, but there's some algorithm involved in that. So you're just going to say, okay, I don't want this page 2 in this frame 2, so I'll just replace it with my new page here. That's called as page replacement, and the entire process is called as demand paging. So whichever page has a demand, you will bring in to your primary memory, and whichever does not have demand anymore, you will evict it back to your secondary storage. Okay, so that's what your page replacement is all about. Any questions on this? Okay, so which will lead us to have some kind of a trace for any particular program. Now let us say you are running a program, and that program is going to have a certain pattern. Okay, so this is your program. Let us say you're going to run some you're going to, so if you start your laptop, right, you are always going to have certain sequence of operations. Okay, so you will first boot your operating system, and then after that you're going to open some browser or something, or you'll open a particular application, and most of the time it's going to be very predictable. And even when you open that particular application, your behavior is going to be, or the pattern in which these applications behave is going to be 90% similar. You're going to do the same operations over and over. Okay, in a fixed pattern. Okay, now if you know, for example, if you open a browser, okay, you're going to first check your Gmail. You'll open a Gmail tab, and then in that you're going to go through your inbox or probably some labels in that. So it's going to be fixed set of operations, correct? So now your this particular set of operations, you can map it to your page frames. Okay, and this is called as a page trace. Now what is happening here is that if you have a particular program, you will actually divide this entire program's data or code or whatever associated with it, right? So any memory that is occupied by this program, so it will fit into one portion of your memory, right? So it will have your page numbers here. All these will have a page number. Okay, now these page numbers are going to fit into some of the page frames here. Okay, now you're going to trace this. So if this is your program execution, you're going to say, okay, my first portion, so this fits into this frame. Okay, this fits into frame 1, this fits into frame 3, this fits into frame 1 again. Okay, so you will have a sequence of these page frame numbers for a particular program. And when you run this program several times, you will have a rough idea of how these frames are used. Okay, and that's the idea behind knowing a page trace. And why do you need this page trace? So once you know a page trace or a trace for an application, you can actually have a decent page replacement policy. Instead of simply saying, OS, I don't like you page in sitting in this memory, it can actually make like an objective decision, right? Instead of having a bias or something like that, or random guesses. So that's the idea. An equivalent of this page trace is called block trace in cache, but we will not get into that, just for your knowledge. Okay, so we will see cache in more detail in the subsequent modules. Then you'll have something called as backward and forward references. Okay, distances. So when you have these page traces, there are two things you can find out. One is for a given particular page, you can find out when was it last accessed. Okay, that's your backward distance. And when will it be accessed next in the future? That's your forward distance. Okay, so forward distance is the distance to the first reference to a particular page after certain time. Okay, the first reference, let us say, in from this instant, from a given instant of time, if I'm interested in page number 2, for example, you're going to see when in the next time frame I'm going to access to. Okay, so 2 could be accessed, say, here and here. Okay, now you will take the first reference. Okay, so from this particular time when I'm accessing this 2, and this delta time, right? So that's your distance. It's called as forward distance. And similarly, you have a backward distance. It's just the reverse of that, right? So you will just find the distance to the most recent reference to x. So let us say again we'll pick number 2. So if you have multiple references of page 2, so you're going to take the most recent reference of 2 from the given from the current time. Okay, you look into the past. So your backward reference is past reference and forward reference is your future reference. It's first. In any case it is the first. Okay, when you say past, it's the most recent. It's not the first, not this one. Okay, when I say the first reference, or it's better to say it as the most recent reference from my current instant of time. Okay, so that's your backward distance. Any questions? Okay, now based on these distances, so we are framing some algorithms. Okay, the first one we will see is least recently used. Probably you would have heard of this, or you've studied this in your operating systems course. So the least recently used algorithm, it replaces the particular page r of t that has the longest backward distance. Okay, and similarly there's another called as optimal algorithm that replaces the page which has the longest forward distance. So formally or mathematically, when you want to represent this, you'll represent it using these two expressions. Okay, q of t is equal to y if and only if your backward reference, okay, you take the maximum of your backward reference and that will be returned. Okay, so in some terms, don't have to get too much confused. What you're trying to say here is that whatever same example we saw, right, you have multiple references of a given page from time, and then you're going to let's say, okay, it's going to be put in a different way. Okay, all right, give me a second, we'll come up with a good example. So these are the different pages. So this is a trace that you have, page number 1, and then you have page 2, and then you have page 3. Okay, now you don't have any spot to fit your page 4. You want to bring in page 4. Now according to least recently used, you are going to replace that page that has the longest backward distance. Okay, so you will take the backward distance from this point, you will take the backward distance of 1. Okay, backward distance of 1 is, in this particular case, 1 2 it's 3. Okay, for page 1 is 3, and then for page 2 it is 2. Okay, so you'll reach in 2 hops, right? Like page 2 it is 2, and then for your page 3, that's 1. Okay, it's just one hop. You just recently referred to your page 3. So now which one will you replace? The one that has the maximum distance. Which page has the maximum distance? Page 1. Okay, so you will replace page 1. Okay, so that is how it is done. All right, now similarly, optimal algorithm on the other hand will look into the future. Okay, it's going to see, it's going to look into the future and say whichever page that has the longest forward distance, you will replace that. Okay, all right. Now there are more page replacement policies. First in, first out. So here you replace the page in the order they were actually brought into memory. It's one of the most trivial algorithms. Okay, you just have to maintain one queue, FIFO queue, and then you just replace it in. You just take turns. Okay, and the next one is least frequently used, but here it's a little more involved. You need to have some kind of a table again to know what is the frequency of each of the page. It's actually the overhead is a bit too much here. And there is also an improvement to your FIFO. It's a circular FIFO. Okay, so where you have a circular queue, and then you need a pointer to point to the next item that has next page that will be replaced. And of course you have your random replacement. So that's, I think, everyone's favorite. You just randomly replace some page. Don't care. Okay. So now we will actually look at one example. Okay. So in this example, you just start with a particular setting where you have two levels, so one main memory and your disk. Okay, and disk is your you'll treat that as your virtual memory, which is again your pages, correct? And page size is 4 words. Okay, and you have three page frames, A, B, C, and you have 10 uh, pages. Okay, 0 through 9. Now, how do you come up with the address? So you come, so every 4 words you will consider it as one page. Okay, so our goal is to compare and contrast three different algorithms. So one is LRU, second one is OPT, and third one is FIFO. Okay, so can you guys get a pen and paper and be ready? We will solve this problem. I'll give you a minute. Please get a pen and a paper. Shubham, are you there? Something wrong with my speaker? Hey Shubham, can you speak up now? Hey, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Hey Shubham, can you just point to someone? What else, right?
Mm. Ujjwal, sir.
Who's that?
Ujjwal.
Ujjwal. Ujjwal, can you please unmute? Ujjwal, are you there? Okay. The mic is not working. Anyways, Ujjwal, let's solve this step by step. Okay. So first, what we need to do is we need to group these words into pages. Okay. So now I said every 4 words we can group them into pages. What we will do is we will just, so this is the word trace. Okay, so these are the different words in a given program. Now we need to group them into pages. So we will just group them sequentially. Okay, which means 0 to 3 will be page 1. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3 will be page 1. 4, 5, 6, 7 will be page 2. Okay, so where will 8 come? Which page will 8 be in? Ujjwal. Ujjwal. Yeah, not like that. Okay, 8, 16, 17, 19, not like that. So what we are doing is, it's actually a very simple thing. Okay, so what you're doing is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so on. So now what you'll do is, it's just a sequential memory, right? So you will group this, you will call this page 1, the next 4 you will call this page 2, 8, 9, 10, 11. This you will call page 3, 12, 13, so on. This will be page 4 and so on. Okay. So now, where, which page does this 8 belong to? 3. Okay, very good. All right, Ujjwal, point to someone. Or, I mean, it's just, it'll be waste of time. So I think you yourself can do it. I think you're smart enough to do this. All right. 16, 17. Which page will it be in? Okay, actually, my bad. Okay, so we'll start the numbering from 0. Okay. So this will be 1. This will be 2. We're all computer engineers, right? So we should start numbering from 0. 0, 1. This is 2. So you said 5. So it'll actually be 4. Yeah, correct. You're right. Yeah. And then 2. Very good. 3. Okay. Nice. 6. Huh? Are you sure? 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Yeah, 7. Right? And then 8, 9, 10. It's again 2, right? Good. And then 4, comma 5. 1. Nice. 12. 3. Very nice. And the last one, 4, comma 5. 1. Beautiful. Nice. Thanks, Ujjwal. Let's see. That's what it is. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 7, 2, 1, 3, 1. Okay. Great. Great. Nice. Thanks, Ujjwal, once again. So that's what we have here. So this is the page trace. Okay, so this is the sequence of the pages used by this particular program. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to compare and contrast three different algorithms: LRU, OPT, and FIFO. Okay, hope you guys have pen and paper with you. Now we are going to solve this. So this is the same sequence in which we have the page trace, right? This is the page trace sequence: 0, 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 7, 2, 1, 3, and 1. And what we are going to do is, we are going to simulate the entire program, and we are going to simulate the page replacement policy according to these algorithms, and we are going to compute the hit ratio. Hit ratio is nothing but uh, how many times you want to access a particular page in your primary memory, and you find that page in your primary memory. Okay, so it's nothing but when you want, how many times you're not missing, right? So in indirectly, what you're trying to do is, you'll find the page faults, and the number of times you don't have fault, that's your hit, that divided by the total number of these pages. So that will give you your hit ratio, and whichever algorithm has the best hit ratio is the best. Correct. All right. So now again back to Sweden. Sorry, last time when you spoke, I thought your mic was not working, but I think it's my speaker not working.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Hey, you wanna try this? We'll just work this together. Okay.
Okay,
You
sir.
you you've solved this earlier, right, in your OS?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'll try to solve this halfway through, and then probably you can pitch in. So first, so your A, B, and C are your page frames. Okay, so these are the three slots available in your primary memory, and this is your page number that is in your virtual memory. Okay, now think about it again. So you in your primary memory you only have three slots, and only three frames are there. Okay, only three slots are available. You're going to fit in your program into your primary memory, so you will have to go through some replacement, and we are following least recently used. What is least recently used? You're going to look at the past, and you're going to find whichever has the maximum backward distance. You will replace that page. Okay, first you have all the three slots empty, so you will bring your page 0 here. Let us say we'll just follow a simple one, so you'll just replace A with 0. Okay, so is it a fault? Yes, it is a fault. Now next you will have your zeros already here. You don't have to replace it because you have free slots here, right? So you need to put one here. You don't want to put one here because you may need 0, so you put your one here in slot B. Okay, do you have a fault? Yes, you have a fault. Why? Because you didn't find it in your page frame. So B was initially empty, so you're bringing the page from your virtual memory, so it is a fault here as well. The third one, uh 2, right? Page 2, you'll bring it from again your virtual memory to your physical memory. So you have one more slot free, so you'll put the slot here, you put the page here. Is it a fault? Yes, it is a fault. Now coming to 4. Now this is where I need Swedel's help.
Yes, sir.
Swedel, yes. So what should we replace? Whom should we throw?
0.
0. Why?
Yeah, because it was the least recently used.
Ah, right. It was the least recently used is 0. Okay, so you'll put 4 here, and then 1 and 2. So they are intact. Is it a fault? Is it a page fault?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is a page fault because you didn't find 4, so it is a fault. Okay, now yeah, Swedel, do the favor, right? Point to someone.
Smriti.
Who?
Smriti.
Smrit
Smriti C.
Smriti. Smriti C, are you there? Can you please unmute yourself, Smriti? Smriti, are you there? Okay, Smriti is not there. Someone else. Let's pick some random name. Huh? Sugyan. Hey Sugyan, you want to try the next one?
Yeah, it's a hit. So it will remain as 412.
It's a hit. Yeah, you have two. Nice. So 4, 1, 2. So you don't have a page fault here. Okay. So what should we put here? We'll put a tick mark. Ah, no, no, no. That's a bad idea. We just leave it as it is. All right, great, great, great. So I will put one empty box here. So yeah, you want to try the next one? Yeah, let's try the next one also.
Uh, so one. So 4, 3, 2, and it's a point.
It's a fault, and you're replacing
1 with 3.
one with three. Okay, other two are going to stay intact. So one was the least recently used, and then yeah, it's a start. So this is going to be a fault. Thank you, Sukyan.
Okay.
Yeah, Sri Lekha. Sri Lekha, can you please unmute? You guys just walk away, is it, or what do you do? Huh? You just log in and then do your daily chores or do something. Okay, who is who is who is? Hey, Vaibhav, you wanna help out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do this. Come on.
Um, it's a hit, sir. Wait, no, sorry, 7, right? We will be replacing 4
Four will be replaced. Why is that?
because it's least recently used.
Okay, so here for two the distance is just one, right? And then for three the distance. Oh, sorry.
3
Two
was
the
just
distance
added.
is two, and three it is one, and then four has the maximum distance, backward distance. Okay, so it will
Yes,
become 7, 3, 2,
3.
and there'll be a star. All right, great. Yeah, just four more. You want to do one more?
Yes, sir. This will be a hit, so
This will
we
be a
don't
hit.
replace anything.
No replacement. Nice. So it will become 7, 3, 2. Now you can point to someone.
Um, um, Usha, sir.
Usha?
I don't think she's there.
Ah, man. Just logged on. Huh.
Vishwa Vignesh, sir.
Vishwa Vignesh.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Vishwa, yeah. Can you please help us out?
3 will be replaced with 1 and there will be a false.
3 will be replaced by 1. Yeah, correct. And there is a fault. Nice, nice, nice. You want to do one more?
No, sir. I think
You don't want to
7
do
will
more?
be replaced
Huh?
by 3.
Huh?
I think 7 will be replaced by 3.
7 will be replaced by 3. Yeah, right. 3,
There is a false.
1, 2, and it is a fault. Correct. Nice. Last one. Whom do you want to do? Call out somebody, no? Best pal.
Nitin, sir.
Nitin.
Yes, sir.
Hey, yeah. Can you just help us solve this? The final piece in the puzzle.
Please.
I'm sorry. Hey, I'm not able to hear you properly. Your voice is breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but now I'm not.
Not sure.
You're not sure. You want to get some help? You can ask your friend Vishwa. He's the one who pointed you.
I think it'll remain the same. So
Huh?
312.
Yeah, it'll remain the same. No, it's 312, and there is no fault here. So now,
Yeah.
yeah, hold on. You're not over yet. So now, what's the hit ratio? How many hits do you have?
3.
Three. Good. And how many? What's the total number of uh, pages you have?
Is 11.
11. Okay, that's all. Okay, so your hit ratio is 3 by 11. Okay, 3 over 11. Okay, my God. Thank you. Thanks, Nitin. Thanks, others
Thank you.
who helped me solve this. So now, in a similar fashion, you should also do this, right? So if you do this, then so OPT is the opposite of LRU. So here you will look into the future. Okay, so I just work out one example. So it will be a fault 0 1. It will be a fault 0 1 2. It will be a fault. So far, it's the same. Okay, and after this, what you will have is you will again in this particular case you will look at the future. Okay, you'll actually see 4. So whom can you replace in the future? So the distance, the forward distance of 0 is actually infinity. Okay, so you actually don't refer to 0 anywhere in the future. And then 1, you have some finite distance, so which is in this from this point of reference, right? It's like, so from here it's like 1 2 3 4 5, so the distance is 5. Okay, and then for 2 the distance is just 1. So you'll take the maximum distance. 0 has the maximum distance, so you will replace 0, okay, with 4. 4 1 2, and then you'll have a fault. And similarly, you have to calculate the forward distance for all the future pages, and then you calculate the hit ratio. Okay, all right. So now once you work it out, you're going to have something like this, and you're going to find out your OPT barely manages to be better than your other algorithms. In general, OPT will always be better than other algorithms, and I just want, so that will be part of the next slide. Okay, so in this case, so you have the hit ratio, and the worst of all is your FIFO. Okay, don't go for FIFO. And then LRU is actually a decent algorithm, and OPT is the best. Okay, but the question really is, which is the best policy? Is it OPT? Why or why not? And I want one of you to quickly answer this. Whom can we pick? Nitin, call out somebody, na?
Yes, sir. So Sumati.
Sumati. Sumati, can you please unmute? Sumati M. Sumati, are you there? I think she's just gone, done for the day. All right, who else? Who else? Then it means to randomly pick. Bharat. Bharat, are you there? Bharat V. I think I should take attendance like this, Then probably I should do that. I'll call out your name, and if you don't respond within 10 seconds, I think you're absent. Yash.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So according to our previous example, right, it seems like OPT, I mean, outperforms the other two. So does it mean it's the best algorithm?
Yes, sir.
Yes, huh? Okay. All right. So yeah, if I'm asking such a question, I think the obvious answer is it's not, right? I mean, you cannot say that. So that's why I'm asking a question. Okay, so anyway, thanks for answering that. So according to a previous example, it might look like OPT is the best algorithm, but it may not be the case. So we need to look at the relative performance with respect to several programs. Okay, so we have just run one particular program and we've just calculated this performance. The other drawback with OPT is that you need to look into the future. Okay, although like most cases your programs are predictable, there are certain cases where you may not know, you may not have the same page trace, and you may not be able to accurately say look into the future. Okay, if for example the previous instance, we just calculated the forward distance of 0 to be infinite, but maybe 0 will be referenced again, we never know, right? So due to that, OPT may also not be practically feasible. Okay, and so coming to cache memory, so you have the same kind of replacement in cache also. Okay, so it's called as block replacement instead of page replacement here. All right. So we come to the end of your second module. So I just want to yeah, one more point, cache traces, right? So yeah, instead of page traces, you have cache traces. So I just wanted you to look at this one particular GIF image, and this is exactly how your CPU works. Okay, so I mean your page replacement works like this. Now, this is a Chinese kid. He actually managed to juggle three Rubik's cube, and he solved it in like 5 minutes. Okay, 5 and odd minutes. Now it looks like magic. Now, what this guy is actually doing is he is juggling the Rubik's cube. Okay, and also he's actually changing the or rotating the Rubik's cube when he's trying to juggle it. Okay, one at a time. Okay, he's using only one of his hands. So particularly this hand, his right hand, right? He as he flips it, I mean as he juggles it, he flips the Rubik cube. Okay, he's solving it in that fashion. So what I'm trying to say with this is that your OS is doing this juggling, okay, and it's making sure that your CPU gets something to work on at any given instance of time. CPU doesn't care, okay, which cube it is, but it will just do that one operation, that's all. And with this you can run like three different programs. So here you're just doing all these page replacements back and forth, swapping, evicting, and all these things, and then your CPU will only operate at a given instance, it will only operate on one particular program's data. Okay, so anyway, so this kid did a Guinness record. It's actually amazing. Anyway, so that's what your replacement policy demand paging is all about. Okay, with this we come to the end of your module 2, and so have a good weekend. So we'll see you next week then. If there are no more questions, then we'll call it done. You can give your attendance. Okay, thank you.